Hello, today I will show you how to install advanced bans for your Space Engineers Torch server. So, a few things need to be installed. So, I'm assuming you already have Torch installed and PostgreSQL installed. And there's the link of put a link in the description of the Postgres database. So I installed version 16.3. So yeah. So assuming you have all that running, all you need to do is open up Torch server. Go into plugins, browse plugins, go into advanced bans, and press OK. And just restart the server. And initially, the first setup process, it will give you a scary error right here. So it'll say that database, the password authentication failed, and if you continue, ban players will be able to join. This is normal. Just an initial setup that needs to be made. So let's first view the AdvancedBans Plugin list or the configurations. So here's the plugin enabled. So this just runs the plugin or not. Here's a scanning interval. So the scanning interval is basically every X amount of milliseconds. It'll check to see if any players are unbanned. The time really depends on how often you want to check for a banned player. So this is roughly 1 hour. It's just normal milliseconds, not in-game ticks. I might push an update which fixes that, but yeah. So which means that if you do 1,000 milliseconds is roughly every second. If you do that is every 10 seconds, I believe. But this is 1 hour. And this configuration is called debug mode. So this basically just splits the log with all debug stuff. Then there's ban delay. So how advanced bans works is that every single time when a player joins the server and they're banned, it then waits a certain time for them to load in just enough until their connection gets terminated and shows the reasoning. This option might change, but that's basically what I have to deal with right now. Yeah, so for a vanilla server, 10 seconds is fine. It should show up 90% of the time. And if not, and a player is loading and they get and the reason doesn't show, the role will just not load. They'll just be thrown into nothing. And there's a configuration called database check. So this here checks every time if the database is running, if enabled. So if it's not running, it'll stop the server and not allow it to start. So basically, by default, this is off. And when it's off, it'll give you this scary error when something's wrong with the database. And but it is highly recommended to keep this on at all times. This is so that if the database is down, the server will not start, and it'll risk getting anyone who's banned back on the server. Then there's PostgreSQL. So here is where you can configure all the things for Postgres. So there's the address. So you can put either localhost for the same instance or a different IP address, and the database name. So by default, if the database is not existing, it will make a database for you. So we will we will go and connect our Postgres. So I just put the very creative password of password. Don't do this in an actual environment, it's just for testing. And you got the database all done, and there's all the help if you need it. So then there's web server right here. So the web server basically functions as the area where the person gets shown the reason why they've been banned. Now keep in mind that advanced bans doesn't necessarily does not rely on the web server. The web server just simply helps display the reason. So like if a player's on and they got banned, for instance, it'll open up a web page saying you've been banned because of blah blah blah. And all these are all HTML based. So all HTML supported. It's like it's running a simple HTML file, and yeah, I suggest if you want to make a web page, make it in like Notepad++ and like paste it in here. And yeah, you can also toss some of these flags in here, and it'll, like for instance, Steam ID will show their Steam ID, ban date will show their ban date, expire date, so on and so forth. And yeah, also there's also the error page. So if a person enters in an invalid case ID for their ban, or if they just navigate to the web server without their case ID, it'll just show them this page. So no ban details are provided, or the ban is invalid. And here's some helpful tips. So those are designed so bans rely on the PostgreSQL database. Bit of a typo there. And yeah, just keep in mind if you're running the web server, and if you're like for instance on a Nexus instance or anything, I recommend you probably should put it as an administrator. Run it as an administrator if you can, and if it's on a Nexus cluster, make sure this is the lobby at least, or the most stable server, because you don't want to put on a server that keeps on like crashing or it's very slow. They'll only just slow it down even more. That's just some rule of thumb stuff. But here's web address here. This is just the local host. So, and 88,000 is the default port. Now the server IP address right here, this is where you can put your public IP address. So this is when a player is banned, it will simply redirect them over to whatever address you've sent. So you can put it as localhost. Well, if you put on localhost, don't you'll be able to look at it, but if you put your IP address, so your public IP address, then other people will be able to view your ban. And yeah, so because this is just a simple local test, I'm just gonna put localhost right here. If you're on a normal server, like production server, you put like your actual public IP address. You could just like go on Google and Google that. Like it'll be something like you want to do that blah blah this that, for instance, something like that. But local host, I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. And yeah, and then there's also finally the experimental tab. This is just a relic of when AdvancedBans was still being developed. Once it's fully ready, this tab will probably go. But if you ever want to play around with them, you can, but just keep in mind it might cause some issues. So yeah, and yeah, that's that. And also, I'm going to decrease the scanning interval from 1 hour for the sake of testing, from 1 hour to 1 second, or 10 seconds, or yeah 1 second. So roughly every second, it'll check all the unbanned players. So yeah, there you go. So now you basically configured advanced bans. Now, what you need to do is restart the Torch server, but I'm gonna first real quick make a world. So I'll call it empty world and testing world. Just gonna make something like that, and now we're just gonna restart Torch. And now hopefully, there we go. So now you'll see the message called starting web server, listening for connections. That means the web server has started successfully. So if you navigate to localhost 8000, you'll get a little page right there. That means that it has your web server is working. So sweet. So and you'll see database created and database structure initialized. This means that the database structure has been created and the first time setup is complete. So if you go into something like pg admin for wait for it to start up, and if I go into servers, Postgres, put my password in here, and I can go into here, so advanced bans, and I can go into schemas, tables, bans, and I can go into view edit data, all rows, and you'll just have a fresh database of nothing in it yet, but it will start filling up once players have been banned. It also, when players are unbanned, it also keeps a track record of all the bans too. So yeah. All right. So now that everything is set up, you just get a name for it. So call it my testing world. My testing world. It's a test, and we could just make it a cross-play server because I don't want to port forward anything yet. Just go into here, and I'm just going to go into Torch server instance dedicated CFG, and just go down here and do network testing scheme to EOS, console for compatibility false to true, and set everything. This console PCU to true. Alright, and now should be all good, so we'll just restart the server once more, just in case. And now there should be no errors, so all these are just normal. And yeah, congratulations, we set up advanced bans. So let's start the server and see it. And alright, game ready. So now we can open up Space Engineers and join our server. Right. Now if I just go into join game and go into here and just do testing, I think I need a filter there, my testing world, and let's join the world. Oh, I forgot to actually enable the firewall, my bad. And we can just go into here real quick and set this from offline to public. And let's restart the server once again. All right, let's start it. All right, game ready. Now if I just join my testing world again, my testing world, and let's just join the world. So some interesting things will happen in your logs. So every single time when a player joins, it'll check to see if they are in the database and if they're banned or not. So it'll say user my Steam ID is not banned. So it'll just go in normally. So I am a normal person that can play on the server, and I am, you know, not banned. So assume that I broke a rule on the server and I place a reactor. I broke a rule. So what you can do is basically do AB temp ban, and then the username, so Sam, and you can put a time. So let's say 1 minute, and broke a rule. So, oh, maybe an admin or higher to use. Just promote myself real quick. So if I run that and I broke a rule, now it'll say that you've been banned. So let's take a look at the ban page. So basically, this is the default ban page. Nothing is spectacular, but you can obviously style it, make it look nicer. But basically, every single time when a player has been banned, they'll be retriggered to a web page like this: that you've been banned. And then their Steam ID, their ban date, their expire date, and their reason. So every single time when you reload it, see your time starts ticking down. And every single time when you get banned, you get a unique thing called a case ID. So this case ID is basically what it says. It's a unique string of characters on which the ban player can give to the support team to take a look at their ban and their ban reason and stuff like that. Everything. So the reason why the case ID system exists is kind of just to kind of generalize the Steam ID system, as as the case ID is kind of just unique to that ban specifically versus just putting in the Steam ID. And this allows AdvancedBans to have to keep a history of all the times you've been banned or a player has been banned. So yeah, so right now, if I reload the page, it says it is expired, yes. So that means I can now come back to the server. So, and if I look into the logs, you can actually see that a player has been temp banned. This is just a bug to be fixed, but you'll say success, player has been temp banned with their case ID, and after some time, it says user case ID this ban has expired, setting user this to expired, then player unbanned. So yeah, and I should also probably mention that advanced bans and normal bans do not work together. So if you have a list of banned people on the banned XML file, they'll still not be able to connect. But if you're trying to ban anyone through the ban button, it won't register in AdvancedBans, which is why I also made this in-game ban button here. So basically, just makes banning the player another form of kicking, and just prevents admins from accidentally using the wrong system. Kind of just a band-aid solution right now, but I'll work more on it later. But yeah, and that's the ban page. So yeah. So now if I go back, close it, it says you've been banned. Just press OK. And now, because I'm now unbanned, I can now join back onto the server like nothing has ever happened. Now, let's say that I am I'm an administrator and I want to check to see the history of a player. So, what you can do is do AB history. Oh, history. All right, and you can just do AB history and look to Sam, and you will basically have a little history of all the times the player has been banned and their status and their ban status. And yeah, um, you can also let's say do AB unban Sam, or sorry, AB unban, and what you need to do is put AB unban and then their case ID. So like just say G3653. All right, and right now, of course, it will obviously error out because the player is already unbanned. But you can unban their using their case ID, or you can do AB unban their Steam ID. This they're already unbanned, so it would not matter. Let's say unbanned anyway, but yeah. And there's also a permaban option for advanced ban. So if you do AB ban, basically this permanently bans someone off the server. So you do AB ban Sam, and for I hate you. All right, it'll permanently ban me for the reason I hate you, and the expiry date will say never permanent, and their same ID, ban date, expiry date is permanent, yes. So then there's their unique case ID for the ban, and they can like go into support, open a ticket or something like that, and say, hey, this is my case ID and stuff like that. An idea is kind of to just like redo the banning system and kind of make it similar to kind of like how Minecraft does it, on like disconnected because of this and that, because we've been banned. But anyway, but yeah, and of course it says you've been banned. But let's say that what if I'm already banned and I'm joining back now? In the logs it will say that user this has been banned, and because of the ban delay, it'll immediately ban them again. But obviously because this world is very new, I can just come back for like a brief second. So like if I see, but then sometimes it'll re-pop up the page again, it'll say you've been banned, and yeah, it's pretty cool. But obviously if you don't want, obviously it's a bit of an issue if the player is able to interact with the game for even a split amount of second. So if they're banned, so like for the ban delay is more or less trying to wing it, trying to lower it enough to on which it's reliable, especially for other people. That, or you could just make it like something very small, like 100, and that'll just practically just not allow them to join at all, or like once they're banned, it'll just not even show the reason. It'll just, you won't be able to connect anymore. But it's up to you depending on that part. So let's say, like, I'll show you an example of what happens if it's too low. If I join it with a ban delay of 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will still let me join. Oh, it seems that this value is also pretty high. Let's make it 1 second. I'm sure that it won't take me 1 second to load into this game. If you make it way too low, it'll show the page and ban you again. But let's say that if it's 10, alright, and if I go into here, role request received, and then yeah, you've been banned. But yeah, but overall the point is don't make it too low, or the player won't be able to see the reason again. Obviously, because I'm connected through my local host, it'll be really fast, but your mileage might vary. But yeah, that's basically the plugin. And if I want to unban myself, let's just do AB unban Sam. Oh, sorry. Unbanning via names will come soon, so I'll have to unban myself with my case ID. So I'll just scroll up and find it right here. So if I do AB unban then my case ID, then I've been unbanned. And now if I go back, I'm now in the game and I can interact and everything. So see, I can place a block and stuff like that, and yeah. And yeah, so also I should also show what happens in the bans. So when a player is banned, it gets logged in the database. So if I reload this and all the bans are here, so CMID, case ID, ban date, expire date, reason, permanent expired, and same thing here, but expired date is null, and yeah, and that's the database. And yeah, if I also want to view my history, so AB history Sam, I now have 2 bans on my history, on my track record, and it'll say now ban number 1 is, it goes from latest to earliest, so the higher the number, the earlier the ban. That's a bit of a bug. I need to fix that and reverse the order, but I think you guys can see the idea. And yeah, there's I believe that's basically all there is. So hopefully hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of tutorial, kind of a showcase plugin that I've made. It's available on Torch API. It has been tested already on some larger communities. It works perfectly fine, and obviously it's being actively developed, and I'm planning on having a warning feature so players can warn, or staff members can warn players for certain actions and what to do if a player receives X amount of warns in X amount of time, stuff like that. So that'll soon come whenever I have time. And yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed and like the video. I don't know, do something.